All right, today we are diving into one of the absolute weirdest stories in the market right now. It's a company called BMRNR, and this thing is just a puzzle, full of shocking numbers, a hidden key, and a massive battle between Wall Street's biggest skeptics and a company trying to pull off a game-changing transformation. Let's get right into it.
So, right off the bat, this is the question we have to figure out. You look at the numbers, and one part of your brain is screaming, "This is the biggest bargain I've ever seen." But another part is saying, "No way, this is way too good to be true. It's got to be a trap." So what we're going to do here is play detective. We're going to look at all the evidence and see if we can figure out what's really going on with this stock.
Okay, here's our first piece of evidence, and trust me, it is a big one. Last year, BMNR reported $13.39 in net income for every single share. And this isn't some fuzzy, made-up number. This is audited, on the books, money in the bank, profit.
And here's where your brain starts to break a little. The stock is trading for about 26 bucks a share. So yeah, you heard that right. In just 1 year, the company earned, in pure profit, more than half of its entire stock market value. I mean, you just don't see that. So how do you even make sense of this?
Well, that brings us to a classic metric, the price-to-earnings ratio, or PE ratio. It's really just a simple way to see how the market feels about a company's profits. You take the stock price, you divide it by the earnings. A high PE means investors are super optimistic about the future. A low PE, well, that usually means they think the company's in for a world of hurt.
So what happens when you take BMNR's $26 price and divide it by almost $14 in earnings? You get a PE ratio of around 2. A PE of 2 is kind of nuts. It's not just cheap, it's the kind of number that sets off all the alarm bells. And that number, that's the core of the whole mystery we're looking at today.
So this is our first big stop. We have to understand why on earth the market is treating this company like it's about to go bankrupt. Why is a company that's making this much money valued like it's on its last legs?
You know, a PE ratio this low is more than just a number. It's a statement. It's the market screaming, "We don't believe you." It's a massive vote of no confidence. It means investors have basically zero faith that those huge earnings are real, or maybe more importantly, that they can ever happen again.
This analogy just hits the nail on the head. A PE of 2 is what you see on industries that are in a death spiral. Think about old-school newspapers or factories making stuff nobody wants anymore. The market is basically saying it expects BMNR to be irrelevant pretty soon. But is that really what's happening here? This is where the story gets really interesting.
Okay, so let's be fair and look at the other side of the coin. Let's get into the bear case, because there are some very powerful, very logical reasons for all this skepticism. The market isn't just being crazy for no reason. It sees a huge, glaring risk.
And here's the argument in a nutshell. The bears look at those massive profits and say, that's a fluke. They believe it's 100% tied to the insane roller coaster ride of crypto prices. Their fear is that a big Bitcoin crash could just completely wipe out BMNR's profits overnight. To them, this isn't a real business. It's just a casino that got lucky on one spin of the wheel.
And this just shows you how wide the gap is. I mean, your average tech company has a PE of 30, maybe even higher. If BMNR was valued like that, with that kind of confidence from the market, we wouldn't be talking about a $26 stock. We'd be talking about a $500 stock. The bears say that's a ridiculous comparison. But is it?
This is where the bulls come roaring in. Their whole argument is that the bears are making a classic mistake. They're driving by, looking in the rearview mirror. They're analyzing the company BMNR was, not the company it's turning into right now. See, the whole bull case hangs on this one thing, a new strategic plan called the Maven project. And this isn't just some new feature or product. This is a ground-up, fundamental pivot of the entire business model, and it's designed to fix the exact problems the bears are worried about.
This analogy explains the whole shift perfectly. The old way of doing things was like being a gold miner. Your profits were totally dependent on the crazy up and down price of gold. The new model, the Maven model, is like owning the toll road that all the gold miners have to use. BMNR is switching to become an infrastructure company for Ethereum, and they plan to collect stable, predictable fees, kind of like a toll, no matter what the price of crypto is doing.
And look, this isn't just some pipe dream on a PowerPoint slide. Remember all that profit we talked about? The company has already banked over $328 million. They have the cash, right now, to go out and build this new toll road business. The funding is already there.
Okay, but if the new plan is so great, why hasn't the stock price moved?
This brings us to my absolute favorite part of this whole story. It's what we're calling the 1-cent key. A tiny, almost insignificant move that could completely change the game.
So you're probably asking yourself, if this pivot is real and the company is so profitable, why aren't the huge pension funds and all the big Wall Street money piling in? And the answer is kind of shocking. For a long time, they legally couldn't.
Here's how this crazy unlock works. Until very recently, BMNR was officially classified as a speculative crypto stock. And a lot of big, conservative investment funds have rules in their charters that say they're not allowed to buy speculative stocks. But by declaring and paying a tiny 1-cent dividend, the company gets to change its official label. It moves from the speculation bucket into the dividend-paying bucket. It's like a permission slip that lets the big money come in and play.
And let's be crystal clear on this. Nobody is buying this stock to get a 1-cent dividend. The dividend's only purpose is to act as a legal key to a locked door. It's a bureaucratic change that could unlock a potential flood of investment capital that, by law, couldn't touch this stock before.
So, if that door is now unlocked, what's next? What's the practical path forward from here? Well, the source analysis lays out a really clear roadmap with 4 key levels to keep an eye on as this whole thing unfolds.
So here's the roadmap. First, you've got the floor right around $26, which is acting as a strong support level. Next up is the trigger point at $27.70. If the price breaks above that, it could be a sign that the worst is over. Then, the next stop would be around $33. And way out in the distance, the long-term best-case scenario moonshot target is up at $146.
Just to put some numbers on that, right? Just breaking that first trigger point is a decent little gain. Getting up to that $33 level, that's a potential 27% return from here. And yeah, if the whole bull case plays out perfectly over the long term, that moonshot target is a potential 460% gain.
But, and this is a huge but, we have to be real about that $146 number. It is not a guarantee, not even close. It's a projection for 2026, and it depends on 2 massive things happening. First, the Maven project has to be a huge success. And second, the entire crypto market needs to do really well, specifically with the price of Ethereum hitting $7,000. A lot has to go right.
So in the end, the whole BMNR story is just a fascinating lesson in how markets really work. It's a reminder that sometimes when a price looks totally irrational, it might not be. It might just be stuck, because the biggest buyers are legally locked out of the room. The big question now is, with that 1-cent key having turned the lock, is that constraint finally gone? That's what everyone's watching.